The Ford Pinto engine was the unofficial but generic nickname for a four-cylinder internal combustion engine built by Ford Europe. It was designed to the metric system. It was sometimes labeled the metric engine. The internal Ford codename for the unit was the T88 series. European Ford service literature refers to it as the Taunus inline engine, hence the TL code names. It was used in many European Ford cars and was exported to the United States to be used in the Ford Pinto, a successful subcompact car of the 1970s, hence the nickname which is used for the engine. In Britain, it is commonly used in many kit cars and hot rods, but the 2.0 capacity engine being the more desirable. In Europe, the Pinto overhead cam was introduced in 1970 to replace the Essex V4. It was the first Ford engine to feature a belt-driven overhead camshaft. The Pinto engine was available in 5 displacements: 1.3, 1294 cc, the earlier 1.6, 1593 cc, later 1.6, 1598 cc, 1.8, 1796 cc, and the 2.0, 1993 cc. Due to emission requirements, it was phased out towards the end of the 1980s to be replaced by the CVH engine and DOHC engine, a completely new design and not to twin-cam development of the Pinto unit. The smallest member of the family was the 1.3, 1294 cc. It was produced in 2 compression ratio versions. TL13L, the low compression variant, which developed 54 to 58 horsepower, depending on carburetor model. The engine codes started with JA. TL13H, the high compression variant, which developed 58 to 62 horsepower, yet again depending on carburetor model. The engine codes started with JC. The fuel was supplied by the Motorcraft single-barrel, 1V, carburetor in the early models and Motorcraft VV, variable Venturi, carburetor for the vehicles built after April 1979. Early low-compression variant, TL16L. Initially, the 1.6, 1593 cc. The TL16L developed 64 to 68 horsepower, depending on the carburetor and application. As the 1.3 model, it used the Motorcraft 1V and, later, the Motorcraft VV carburetors. The engine code of the low compression variant started with LA. The HC version of the early 1.6 had the same bore and stroke as the LC version, but the compression ratio was higher, allowing it to produce 71 horsepower. It used the same carburetor models as the low compression version, Motorcraft 1V and Motorcraft VV. From the beginning of the production run, the 1.6 had a special, sporty version, TL16G, which featured modified cylinder head, Weber 3236 carburetor and tubular exhaust manifold. With such an improvement package, the engine produced 89 horsepower. At the beginning of 1984, Ford discontinued the 1.3 engine and introduced the new 1.8 engine, which used the 2.0 liters crankshaft, so to uniform engine parts for the whole range. After dropping the 1.3, the 1.6 was redesigned to also take the 2.0 liters crankshaft, which had a 76.2 mm stroke. This of course led to bringing the bore down to 81.0 mm to keep the displacement within range. It was now 1598 cc. The TL16E became now the only available 1.6 engine of the Pinto range. Although the compression ratio was raised, the power figures did not differ much from the earlier TL16H version. The engine developed 75 horsepower. This engine is sometimes referred to as the 1.6 Max engine. The 1.8 TL18H 1798 cc Pinto engine was introduced in 1984 as a replacement for the old 1.6 liters. The engine had a 76.95 mm stroke, giving the displacement of 1796 cc. Output was 89 horsepower. Fuel was supplied by the Pierburg 2E3 carburetor. The 2.0 TL 1993 cc engine was used in many Ford vehicles from the early 1970s. Due to its robustness and high tuning potential, it was often used as an aftermarket engine upgrade or base for building race and rally engines. The engine has bore of 90.82 mm and 76.95 mm stroke, giving the displacement of 1993 cc. Three completely different LC variants of the 2.0 liters were produced. One was used on the 1970 to 1982 Ford Export version to Sweden, fitted with the Weber 32 carburetor. The compression ratio was lowered to meet the rigorous emission specifications. It delivered 86 horsepower. The second one was used on 1978 to 1991 Ford Transit van and P100 models. With modified induction and Motorcraft 1V carburetor, it produced 76 horsepower. The Transits also used the third engine, called the economy engine. The power figure of this one was even lower. It developed only 58 horsepower. Ford also developed an injection version 2.0 liters engine which used the Ford EEC5 engine control system, which brought the output up to 114 horsepower, although much of this increased performance can be attributed to the improved design of the EFI cylinder head.